everybody, Dobbin Buck here from GetUWired, here with the Cabin Signal, our monthly content distribution to bring you the best information on marketing expertise, interviewing our favorite SaaS developers, our favorite products, our clientele, and internally at the GetUWired team, a lot of wonderful information that's going to be coming to you every month. This is our January 2020 edition, and I can't think of a better way to start off the year than with Scott Desgrosseilliers from Wicked Reports. Wicked Reports is a tool that GetUWired has been utilizing for years for tracking our ad spends, our attribution in our marketing campaigns for all of our top level clientele. I couldn't recommend a product more, and it's such an honor to have the brainchild, the guru, the founder, the CEO, and really a person that introduced me to the importance of the principles by which their SaaS opportunity works. With Wicked Reports, we have it integrated with Infusionsoft, with ActiveCampaign, with a variety of the other tools that we use. And I'm really excited to introduce you to Scott because you know, there are these guys that I travel around different conferences. I get out and I meet a lot of smart people. Practically everybody's smarter than me, but that's not saying much. But this guy's really smart, and he's taught me so much. But his product, Wicked Reports, has been a tremendous game changer for my clients, and it's made me and my team look super smart. So I'm real excited to hear about what's kicking with Wicked Reports. Let Scott tell you a little bit about what's going on with the platform, how it can serve you as a small business, and some of the real exciting partnerships and things that he has going on in the future of the Wicked Reports world out there. So Scott, welcome today. Glad to have you.
Thanks, Dobbin. That's quite an intro. I don't know if I can say anything that's going to top that. That's pretty fantastic. You know, we've known each other a while now. I think we met at Icon. Remember those days back in 2015, 2016 maybe? And it's, you know, I've always enjoyed talking to you. I would not call you one of the least smart people. I call you very smart, but nice self-deprecating touch you had there. But I always come away learning something when we talk. So this will be fun for me to learn, even while I'm on this video with you. So thanks for having me, and glad to share things.
Yeah, well, as I said, an honor to have you. And you and I have been around each other a lot recently in recent times with travel in different cities, and it's always fun to hang. You couldn't think of a funner guy. He's great. He does great business, but I assure you, this guy does great fun time as well. So I almost got him kicked out of a restaurant in Austin, Texas recently.
Yeah, man, that was quite a trip. I mean, we were down at Digital Marketer, and man, you did a speech that a fantastic Q&A, and that was such an interesting talk. And then I was rewriting my whole presentation with a head cold in the audience because there was no Wi-Fi, and I was relying on Wi-Fi for what I was going to present. And then we got almost thrown out of a ramen joint of all places. So that was a fun trip.
Yeah, absolutely. So, excuse me. So Scott, why don't you give us our audience the lowdown on Wicked Reports? Maybe you could give a little bit of history, but ultimately, what is Wicked Reports? How does it apply to today's small businesses, digital marketers, and who's a good fit for the product? You know, ultimately, let's just lay out what it is exactly that we're talking about. I know you'll do it better than me.
Sure. Wicked Reports is a marketing attribution platform, and our special niche is e-commerce or subscription businesses or those with complex funnels using HubSpot. So we work with a lot of integrations: Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign, Shopify, Stripe. We have a list of about 30 now, and we have an API, so we work with most anyone. And we got started because of a challenge that an e-commerce business using Infusionsoft had. A friend of mine, Mark Morrell, who runs Get Maine Lobster, and he had a problem, and he had to figure it out, which was Facebook doesn't work for lobster. That was his contention. And he said, I spent $4 grand on ads. I got 12,000 clicks and I only got one sale. And I said, I'm really surprised on Facebook that someone would buy from some random lobster guy when they never heard of you before. And he said, well, what else am I supposed to do? And that led to the creation of Wicked Reports and a lot of realizations along the way, which I'll share on the call. And to this point, we've tracked now almost $3 billion in ad spend and going on $7 billion in revenue. So we got a lot of insights and a lot of trends from that. And you know, the data doesn't usually lie, I would say, and it's a lot different than what some gurus will have you think happens, or what maybe your ad platform metrics are telling you. There's a lot of eye-opening things when you dig into the data that you know, that people aren't always talking about, because maybe they're not the most sexiest thing and they're not going to get you for clickbait, but they're realities in your business that I think it would help everyone to know.
Fascinating. You know, a lot of the value in Wicked Reports, and ultimately when we're dealing with our funnels, and where I know with product, a lot of people are looking at clickbait and, you know, the immediate sale. But in regards to Wicked Reports and what we're able to attract, we're able to go roll really deep, and we're able to roll really deep into the lifetime and life cycle of the customer, and ultimately what's going to affect us down the road. So we aren't looking always at the quick fixes. We're looking at a lot of data, and it's able to give us, you know, useful methodology to where we can understand our ad spend investments, and to be able, as an agency myself, GetUWired is a full service web marketing agency located in the backwoods of North Georgia. Ultimately, the data that we get from Wicked Reports is what we're able to share with our clients and really make sense of, you know, how they're investing their money in their ad spends, and why sometimes it isn't necessarily a true win that quick money floating back in through the card is the win. Could you give us a little bit of background? You've shared about this quite a bit.
Yeah. So the premise of Wicked Reports is that leads take time to buy. You can't just slap up an ad on Facebook, run it to your Shopify store or what have you, and suddenly you're printing money. It never works. I've never seen that work. You need some brand equity, you need brand awareness, all those things you're doing to educate your customer, or at least get them, even if you're selling just some widget, they've got to get familiar with your brand usually. They're not just going to buy from some unknown person on the very first click. It's unlikely. If you're able to do that, fantastic. You're rare, and you should start marketing how you did that in a course. So our whole, you know, like our average time to buy, what we've seen across all our customers is 44 days from lead to purchase. Now, some of you are going to be, that's the median. So half of them are less than that, half of them are longer. But that means that there's different marketing that's going to affect people along the way, that's going to move them along to purchase. Because when you get leads, of course, you're focused on cost per lead, and you're trying to say, hey, I want to get 100 leads a day. I'm spending $1,000. I want, you know, $10 leads, and you focus on that. But the lead quality can be all over the place, and that's where lifetime value comes in. Because if you're getting, you know, if you're spending $50 per lead in one channel and 10 on another, you tend to like the one that gets you more leads. It's just human nature. I still have to fight that, you know, because I can go on Facebook and get cheaper leads than I can on Google or LinkedIn. But at the end of the day, what drives your business isn't a high lead count or a cheap lead. It's how much value are you getting out of it, and are they worth more than you're costing to get? And while that makes sense to people, when the leads don't convert right away in those first couple of days of a campaign, it gets very stressful to many people, or they turn off campaigns that might actually be attracting great potential customers because they don't have that immediate ROI. So what we've learned from lifetime value is a lot of things, and a lot of things with some data I've analyzed. I analyzed all that $3 billion in ad spend for my upcoming speech at our event we'll talk about in a little bit. And the value of a lead on 14 days versus a one-day lead is like 8 times. So, and that's again on average. So it doesn't mean for sure your specific business, but it means, hey, when you get a lead in, odds are you should wait a couple weeks before you make a decision on that lead generation campaign. And people intellectually believe, can say, oh, that sure. And then you start spending, and 3 days in, you don't see any revenue for your leads, and you're freaking out every time. I mean, we still do it here at Wicked Reports. Or you're looking at how many leads did I get for the price? That's where I should spend. And I think it really should be approached the other way, which is when you have actual verifiable sales in your shopping cart or your Stripe, whatever you're billing, and you look back in time, say, where did these leads come from, and invest there, not the other way around. People look at the top end. You should look from the end goal backwards. Here's my most valuable customers, the people that are spending thousands a month with me if you're an agency, or 100 a month, or if you're a subscription business, who's doing the recurring. Those are the highest lifetime value customers. And where are those coming from at a profitable ROI over time after like 2 or 3 subscription cycles? That's where you need to double down your ad spend, not on the quick fixes at the top of the funnel. So that's been a big driver for a lot of our clients, is that after a quarter, it can really be almost like a strategic cockpit where they're looking at how to move some $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 here and there, rather than the quick fix tweaking, intraday trading on your account, if you will. That's not for us or our customers. Ours are the ones that want to make the big incremental changes over time, thanks to lifetime value, either accruing from the leads or not accruing.
Yeah, incredible. So listen to Scott, tracking back from the most valuable customers through the process, as opposed to what's getting me the most clicks on the front end. And ultimately the 44 days, and I would say that, that's sort of, would you consider on average, you're saying 44 days, but also it goes beyond that in certain circumstances. Would you agree? Because I have people that we're an agency, and so the minute someone pours money into a campaign, they're like, hey, it's money. We should be getting, we should be seeing results immediately, and so then you have to explain and break it down. This stuff takes time, and to do this effectively and to do this really logically, and as far as a long-term investment, it's really crucial to have this data and to be able to react to it. Wicked Report allows us to do that. And I have seen, with our clients, and you can correct me as far as if this is the ideal client for Wicked Report, but I'm giving GetUWired's experience. So generally, we are recommending Wicked Reports to our Infusionsoft Keep or Active Campaign clientele when we have an ad spend of $5,000 to whatever, $100,000 a month as far as their investment. So we look at, there's a cost to Wicked Reports. Of course, there's an investment that people make in the software, but generally we feel that when people are serious enough to where they're sort of north of that $5,000 zone, that's when we're recommending the platform, because we're that much more hyper-focused, and our clients, more importantly, are more hyper-focused on their investment. Would you say that getting in earlier is better? I know you own the software, so you may say that, but you're pretty legit about this stuff. What's your feelings about the size? Someone that has a $200 ad spend is probably not a good fit for Wicked, but what's the sweet spot for you?
Yeah, the sweet spot for us is from 3 to 50 million, or I'd even say 3 to 100 million. It's once you're above, and I'd want you to be either above $1 million or to have enough ad spend that you're on a trajectory to get above $1 million. Because the more volume of data we have, the more we can help you. And so that requires ad spend, but also the more revenue you have, the more you can take a lifetime value or a longer look at getting return on your ad spend. If you're spending $5,000 and it's a reach for you to spend $5,000, or you're jittery right away, then you're not a fit, because we can't help. It's unlikely we're going to be able to help you in a week. We'll be able to tell you at your bottom of the funnel orders how it's working, but we've got reports that can help give you insights in the first week for sure. But the real benefit of attribution comes after a full buying cycle, or ideally after 2 or 3, as we've iterated and tuned budget each buying cycle. That's when the big benefits can come in. So like if you're coming in with let's say a 20 grand ad spend while you're spending $250,000 in a year, well, we can probably find in that 20 grand, we're going to find, yeah, after a couple months, we're going to find 10 grand, 20 grand that you are wasting that you didn't know, because it's not influencing customers, because there's no way you would have known it really, or it would have been challenging to find out. And so then you can already realize ROI on our investment just from no longer wasting ad spend somewhere and redeploying it to the campaigns and scaling the ones that are working, or the ones that took where the ROI was delayed, and we can alert you, hey, turn these campaigns back on. They actually made a lot of money. They just didn't show it when you were running them. That's a popular report and alert we have. So I would say the volume of transactions can matter as well. If people only have 5 or 10 high ticket sales a month, we can work fine. But those people tend to get more stressed out if one of those orders didn't track. If we track 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, they get very concerned that all 10 didn't track. Where if you have 300 and we tell you information on 270 of the 300, that's enough directional insight. And usually those people are off to the races, where the smaller transaction count, people get more stressed out sometimes. So that's good.
Yeah, really cool. And when you're saying 3 to 100 million, you're talking about annual revenue.
Annual revenue, yes.
So he wasn't talking about, ladies and gentlemen, about monthly ad spend of 3 to 100 million.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
So if there's going to be a consistent ad spend over a period of time, and here at GetUWired, many of our clients and relationships that we've been utilizing Wicked Reports, we've been able to analyze over a period of years now, and that's been really helpful. Some of our key retainer clients have been, I would almost say that they were earlier adopters of Wicked Reports when they came on, and that's been really incredible. So let me ask you another question that may be useful to the audience. So you hear about the agency, such as GetUWired, you work with hundreds of agencies that trust your brand and service. What is the contrast between end companies, business owners that are utilizing and buying the software direct from you versus the clients that are coming through an agency type of situation like myself? I know that there's a lot of business owners that are using this without agency, and I think that's an important thing to share, because a lot of people think, oh yeah, it's the heavy hitters know how to look at this data. It makes sense to weird geeky agency personnel, but to me, a normal business person, this stuff just won't make sense. I think that that's not entirely the truth.
Yeah. That's a great question. So we're probably 65% brands or the business owners buy us, and a third the agencies. And the reason for that is a couple of reasons. One, the brands will come to us. They're either have internal agent, or they were doing it themselves internally, or they want a source of truth. And it's because they've looked at their Facebook ROI numbers from what the Facebook ad platform will say, and then Google, and then their email, and then their homegrown system, and then Google Analytics, and then some spreadsheets, usually all 5 going, and none of them add up, or if you add them up, it doubles or dramatically overstates what their revenue is. And so with our point of view, it's first party data revenue is what we start with. So we're going to reconcile to your cart, because that's what you did in sales for the month. That's the conversions that matter the most. We got to look from a real sale and look back at the ad clicks. And then the agencies, what we found is that if that agency does multi-channel, or is their sole agency responsible for most of their marketing, it goes very well, because there's no competitive interest. But if the brand thinks one thing, and then they have a Facebook agency, and then they have a Google agency, it can work if the people are all on the same page and they're all really good at what they do and they're open. Because Google and Facebook by design are going to overstate their impact somewhat, because they're going to ignore how valuable email and SMS are. Because you close someone on a text, or you close someone on email, which still works quite well, particularly at the bottom of the funnel. The paid advertising often can support it, but if you're looking in those platforms, they both are taking full credit, because their job isn't to try to weed through all your marketing stack and not take credit. That's just not what it's built to do. People forget that. And so that's where if the agency understands that and is fully responsible for all the marketing or has a great relationship with the brand, it can work great. Now, as to your second part of that, which is equally important, is as I'm going to understand, does it take an agency numbers guru to understand Wicked Reports or not? We just had a massive release about 10 days ago, and my internal name for it was called Attribution Clarity. Now, we've been working in attribution for 5 years, 6 years now, with patents pending, and a lot of learnings that you can only get certain things you can only learn when you experience them. And we've experienced attribution, all types of businesses, household names, tiny businesses. Onboard yourself with a course. Here's a guide. Watch this video. Let us do it all. We've just iterated and iterated on this. And I finally really like the core ROI report. And even then, it's still not perfect, but it's finally like I have mental peace, because what we've done is when you go to pick it, when you go to pick something you're going to look at, attribution model, we spelled out why you should care, what marketing strategy you should be using, or what marketing strategy that model is measuring, which isn't something that gets talked about. People say, oh, I got an attribution solution, or I can track. Well, you have to know what your strategy is in the campaign, and it needs to marry up to the model, because otherwise you could make a bad decision, because the way you're doing marketing greatly affects how you should measure the results. You're doing a top of the funnel campaign. People think I should measure leads and CPL. Well, in the absence of any other data you should, but really you need to measure, did the leads convert, and is the value worth more than what they cost in an acceptable time frame? And so we do all that for you, but you need to pick an attribution model that supports lead gen marketing. Or if you're at the bottom of the funnel, it's a last click cross channel. And if it's the middle of the funnel, there's other models. So we now have the ROI tool report. It gives you the roles behind that model in a clear way. It gives visual training behind how to understand what we chose to choose, how we gave credit or didn't, because it is different. It's not different in a daunting way, but I've decided to give, the quick fix isn't there anymore, because the prices have all risen on the Google and ad clicks and leads, because everyone's spending now. Everyone knows they got to be digital. I want to give the right solution to people. And now I feel like it trains everyone correctly in the minimal amount of time as to here's what you're looking at, why it's important, here's how to use it. It's all in there based on what you're looking at. It's very contextual based on the attribution model you pick and the filtering. All the training and the insights and the framing of what you're looking at is all handled the way I like. So if you get in there and that works for you, then you can use it. You don't need to be a numbers guru. And if it doesn't, then I still have work to do. Or you.
That's super. So our audience is a lot of small business owners. Some of these are our existing clients, and ultimately, if you are an existing client and you're spending a relatively substantial amount in your ad spend, 99% of the chance we've already introduced you to Wicked Reports. But for people that are interested in finding out more, how do they find out if they're a good fit for it? Like example, if they weren't coming through GetUWired as an agency, they just want to look you up, they want to take a look out. What's the process of getting in and doing a self-assessment if your software is a good fit for them? And what's a little bit of the process that new people go through when they're first coming into contact with you?
So when they first come in, wickedreports.com/demo, where you just click on demo at the top. It's a 3-minute recorded demo of just the quick highlights of here's the benefit and here's a screenshot showing how you get that, how this one particular client gets this benefit. So it's very high level. It's only 3 minutes, obviously. But then if you see that and you're like, ooh, these are the type of things I want to answer. Then the next step is to have a 20-minute call with someone on my team. Now, what happens there is they find out what you're doing to see if it's a fit. The first 5 minutes is assessment, because we don't want to just walk you through a demo and you're like, great, I just wasted half an hour of my life. but what we have is an ROI calculator. So we take a couple measures from you: list size, annual revenue, amount of transactions a month, and ad spend a month, and just your approximations. Because then we can run that through based on our average return people get to see if, based on those numbers, are you going to make, we want you to make 10x on what you're paying for Wicked Reports. So let's say our base price, let's say it turns out that you're going to pay us $400 a month. Well, can we make or save you $4,000 a month? And if so, then we think you should proceed. And if not, we shouldn't. So if you come in and say, I'm spending $2,000 a month and I have a list of 5,000 people and I do 20 sales a month and they're worth $100. We don't have enough value to 10x you. You still could buy, we still could help, but if we're not going to 10x you, not going to 10x your ROI on what you pay us, I'm just not as comfortable of you. You might need to do, maybe you should be doing other things. I mean, there's so many things you can do to grow a business. So that's kind of our internal metric. So with ad spend, we're saying, hey, well, half your ad spend's wasted, but out of your ad spend, we know we can probably find 20% waste in there because it's unlikely you're crushing 100% of it.
Right.
If it is, you don't need us, and let me know how you do it. So from 20%, there's no way you could know because you couldn't track it back to your leads and sales because what we do behind the scenes, all the complexity we hide is, that would be challenging for someone to do, particularly if you're already on a low ad spend, you're not going to have that time or whatnot. So that's what we kind of look at. And that's where I settled on that e-commerce tends to have enough volume once they're spending at least $5,000 a month. Subscriptions do because of the higher lifetime value over time. And lead gen marketers, because, the patents are all behind, hey, we can make sure that it's really a new lead. When someone opts in, we check it against the CRM, because if you're running a normal, if you're looking in the ad platforms and your thank you page on the opt-in form says, hey, you have a lead. Well, a lot of the times those leads are already on your list and that they're responding in a different way because they already have known about you for 3 to 5 to a year.
Right.
And so that really matters in terms of how can I scale this offer? Because a pure cold, we want to make sure when we're telling you, hey, you converted this cold traffic to a new lead and now they're a high value customer, we want to know for sure they were really cold traffic that became a new lead. And so we verify that with your actual CRM data. And because that's a tough thing to find cold traffic leads that become high value customers, and it's what everyone wants to do. And we make sure that it definitely was really a new lead. And so, because that can, that's a big shock. People come in and like, hey, my Facebook's showing 82 leads. Why are you showing 48? And we're like, well, 38 of those are actually, 20 of them are phantom pixel fires and 20 of them are already on your list. They're re-opt-ins. So we're still giving you credit, but not as a new lead, as an existing lead, which is a different way of measuring things.
Fascinating. I have a couple of my clients that completely just geek out on Wicked Reports. I think that, I wish I could name them, but it'd be inappropriate. But, one of them in particular, all he does is rave about the system. And the cool thing about it is that you have evolved the system and you continue to at a very, very aggressive rate as a result of a lot of your relationships and partnerships. And I'm looking forward to, I know it's one more week, I'll be meeting you in New York City for, not next week, but the week after for WickedCon in NYC. The crazy dude from North Georgia will be in New York City and soaking up all that. And I know that we're going to be talking about some incredible things in your partnership. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and
Sure.
what we're going to be up to there?
Sure. So we're a platform API partner with Google, one of, I think, 12, although I haven't checked recently. We were 12 when we get in, so I don't know how many more. And what they were interested in with us is that we take, if the advertiser opts in, is that we are looking at all the Google click IDs and we're matching them up against real revenue and sending it up in a way that Google likes so that we can update the value of clicks and therefore allow Google's algorithms to learn and then evolve their bidding for you. which is really cool because I always was like, my holy grail is that the data can automatically act for people. Because yeah, I like analyzing and people like getting in there, but everyone's got a lot to do. We can just make you money on autopilot. I mean, what's better than that? And so it ended up being a little more sophisticated and complicated than that. But at the end of the day, like, you could get a click from Google that gets you a lead that is not worth much money or anything yet. But then maybe in 2 weeks, your email closes them and they become a recurring customer. And then they say they bill, a couple $100 in the 90 days or what have you window. Well, in the old days of Google, that Google click ID that created the lead doesn't get any value or gets an arbitrary value you assign on the thank you page, which may or may not be accurate based on all sorts of things. Well, now we're taking real revenue and updating that click value iteratively as it increases in value. And then Google's machine learning says, oh, look, if you have a bunch of them, says a couple things. One, okay, this click or these group of clicks are worth a lot more than we thought originally. That's good news. We're going to tweak the bidding to gather more of them. The other thing is that, Google's sitting on 7 billion signals, from all their property. They get 7 properties with 1 billion each, and they're all feeding into the targeting. Like, what did you search on Chrome? Or what websites did you visit? What type of emails? What YouTube videos were you watching? That all feeds in. And so if I can say, hey, these click IDs all really like fly fishing. I'm not telling them that. I am saying, hey, you're a fly, let's use your passion, one of them, right? So these clicks came in as leads, and now all of a sudden they're all worth a couple $100 a piece. And so in aggregate, they're worth a lot more. And the algorithm looks around and says they spend a lot of time on Dobbin's Instagram. They're searching for fly fish, 2 or 3 signals. Wow, it's fly fishermen. Well, then they have the power of all of Google's machine learning to just say, hey, we know what a fly fisherman looks at. We're going to show your ad to all these people in all these formats. You don't have to be in there navigating all Google's commands, trying to figure out where are these people, which is daunting. Or you put it in and you put the wrong bid in. Google takes care of that. They're going to bid for you high enough because they know that's the high value leads that you need in future customers. So it's tremendous power when it's dialed in right. So they got excited, and we built this thing where with a click, we can start feeding their first-party data algorithms the right way so that they can bid for you if that's something you're looking to do, which most people are looking to scale on YouTube or Google in general. So that's how it led to, hey, we'll throw in why don't you throw an event at our place? We'll help you out. And then they said, hey, can you get 50 people there? I'm like, I don't know. So I sent an email out, and we got 93, so we had to get a bigger room. So that was kind of fun. We didn't want to have I didn't know if we could get some 500-person event or whatever. We wanted it to be just the right size where we could give tons of value, compact half a day, and then, drinks on Google, which is always nice. And we can all make some more money thanks to being there. This is what we're going to share. So that's the idea.
Yeah, that's exciting. So New York City, WickedCon at Google headquarters. It's going to be an incredible time. I can't wait. I love New York City to begin with, but you add Wicked reports and a trip to Google. Woo, man, that is absolutely incredible. So, as I know there's a lot of information here, and Scott's unwinding a lot of stuff, and some of it may make sense to you and some of it may not, but this is the thing. And this is why I find so much value in this, is that we have seen time and time again for people that invest in their ad spend on a monthly basis with the digital products that we represent. And certainly it can be subscription-based systems, it could be product, it could be mainly what we're looking at is anything that is we can attribute to a cart structure, and there's enough volume that represents it that we highly recommend Wicked Reports. And it's well worth your time if you're doing any aspect of what you've heard today, is to go and check out the 3-minute demo. I promise you 3 minutes of your time is well spent watching the basic Wicked demo. If you're feeling the love from that, take it to the next step, because his team is groomed to really be of service to you. They are not going to guide you down Wicked way if you aren't a good fit for Wicked. They just won't do that. They're into their own level of thought process and servitude towards customers, and they're looking for long-term customers. Hey, guess what? If you aren't ready today, you may be ready a year from now. You'll remember that demo and you'll come back and they'll welcome you with open arms. But this is well worth taking a look at. That's why I thought it was important to be on this episode of GetUWired. Mainly, the rule of thumb with GetUWired, I wanted to share something to people about the products and services that we use. I have very serious rules. When it comes to SaaS, when it comes to any platform that we use for ourselves or with our customer, first of all, the platform needs to be effective and useful. Number two, the platform needs to be the platform needs to be have great customer service and be accessible to us when we need help or when we need guidance around it. And three, I want to know the owners of the software company and understand that the culture, the core values, and the people behind this software service are in alignment with our own. So really, we want to know that the software works, that will serve our customers, and that the people behind it are right. And ultimately, if they pass all of that criteria, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's amazing how many offerings do not meet that criteria, then we go in and we let our people start utilizing it with clients. We test it out for a while. Once we see results, then it becomes part of our internal processes and part of our internal, what we'll call it, our tech stack. So all the different software that we use in the agency for our different clients have gone through this vetting process, through the trial process, and then are part of our regular month-to-month regimen with our retainer clients and with our project-based clients that we work. And so Wicked Reports has been a real important one. And there's probably about 10 different tools that are like on the top of our list that are like staples for us. So that's why it's important that I wanted to share with our list what's going on. And if you're an active client of GetUWired and we haven't talked to you about Wicked Reports, or maybe you don't quite fit the criteria that we deem it useful and you want to bring it up to your project manager, please do, because we would love to do a deep dive and see if that's a good fit. But it's just so cool, the data that you can get. And ultimately, if you're spending money, don't be stupid about it. The amount of money that Wicked Reports cost is like infinitesimal compared to the boons that come out of this. If you're taking yourself seriously, take yourself seriously. You know, this is the real deal. So check it out, take a look at it, and be on the look for Scott. Scott's been on a lot of podcast webinars. If you search Scott Desgrosseilliers online, you know, it'll be like you search for Elvis. He's everywhere.
I'm starting a podcast late next month, so it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, you know. So absolutely, you know, check this out and see how this can work for your company. I know you'll only be excited. And when we're talking about, you know, machine learning and all this technology, it sounds a little bit like, oh, whoa, this is you know, maybe over my head, or you know, this is out of my range or my range of understanding. Hey, let me tell you, every time you pick up your iPhone and turn it on, someone's machine learning you, you know, it's going on. And the beauty of it is, just like you don't know it when you pick it up here, you don't know what people are tracking all the time and everything. The same thing with Wicked Reports, that ultimately once the stuff is dialed in, the beauty of it is that it's taking care of itself. Not that it's overly complicated, it's uncomplicating the process for what are potentially very, very complicated things that it's only been accessible to like super expensive, smart, nerdy people in the past. Now it's available for the public.
Amen.
You agree?
Amen. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when we it's almost democratizing this type of data for people. So for us, you know, we're trying to make it so it's accessible and actionable. It's not just, hey, here's a bunch of pie charts and fancy graphs and degrees of confidence and stats and go figure it out. We need you to be able to act on it, or why are you going to keep paying us? Why would you? Why would you pay for numbers that you can't use? So the onus is on us to make you be able to understand and act on it. So we spend a lot of time and effort doing that, and everything we do, we're always thinking about how are people going to use this? Is it going to give them benefit? Because otherwise we shouldn't be wasting our time showing you data that ultimately isn't helpful. So that's constantly a burden we have to overcome in order for us to provide value. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, well, right on. So, for those of you, a lot of our audience, you're utilizing advanced CRM systems, marketing automation systems. So if you're utilizing Infusionsoft, if you're utilizing ActiveCampaign, if you're utilizing HubSpot, are you on any of the other automation platforms beyond? Are you on Ontraport?
Ontraport, MailChimp, Aweber. I'm forgetting one or two. I'm forgetting probably 10, but those are the ones that come. Oh, Klaviyo is coming.
Gotcha.
You get a lot of Klaviyo people. I knew that was the big one I was missing. Those are the big ones.
Great. So they have real strong integration process partners and solid integrations, clean integrations that work and are deep integrations with systems. So highly recommended. Scott, I'm really looking forward to hanging with you in New York City, and just really honored to have you on. It's always a pleasure to hang with you, and I hope that all you out there get to know Scott, or at least maybe you won't get to know Scott, but I hope you get to know Wicked Reports a lot better. So thanks for coming.
Thanks, Dobbin. Appreciate it. It was great being on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. Once again, the Cabin Signal coming to you every month. Our monthly content going out to you with only the best guests, visitors, information that the GetUWired Backwoods Cabin in North Georgia has to offer. See you all soon.